Are you wanting to start time blocking? If so, this video is for you. I'm gonna show you how I get stuff done by time blocking. I am not naturally a super organized person, so I have learned that the best way for me to be productive is to plan out ahead of time how my day is going to go the next day through time blocking. So come with me if you want to check out my Google Calendar. Let's get into my computer. Whoa, let's dive in. Okay, so I thought what would be fun is if you took a look inside my calendar and I could just break apart what it looks like. Now, when you first look at somebody's time blocking calendar, you probably think that they're a crazy person. Hopefully you don't think that of me, but maybe you do because all the colors, all of the chaos, it seems like a lot, but there really is a method to my madness, and a calendar doesn't usually start out looking like this. So I'm actually gonna jump a few months ahead of time because it will be a lot more clear and less confusing. So let's jump into like later this year. So like maybe, September. We'll go to first week in September. Okay, so this is a little bit, okay, it still looks crazy, but I wanted to share with you just kind of my methodology behind time blocking, why I time block, and what I do in order to get more done. So if I was just going to start time blocking for the very first time, I would start out with the things that are most important to me, right? And the things that are most important to me are my family, my health, and the things that I love doing. And so I know that every single night I'm going to be hanging out with my kids and my family, right? And that the computer is going off at 4:30. Like that's when my kids are home from school and we just have a few short hours together before we actually have to start getting ready for bed and all of that stuff. And so I know for me that I want to make sure that that is really devoted, dedicated time to my children, right? To my family. So because of that, I go ahead and I put that time in. We even have like ideas of what we're going to do each night. So like we have date night, the night that we'll normally have friends over, things like that. And so I put those things in first. Now, when I first started my business, I don't know how many of you guys are entrepreneurs watching this video, but when I first started my business, I was a stay-at-home mom. And so I didn't have from, 8:30 to 4 every day to work on my business. And that's fine, right? Like I think that for us, it comes into play where it's just like, let me build out the ideal life that I would want to have inside of my calendar. And knowing that for some of us, that's going to be working 10 hours a week as an entrepreneur. Some of us, that's going to be working 40 hours a week. And it's really, you're planning out the life that you want inside of your calendar. So for me, everything that's on my kids' calendar, it's actually a totally separate calendar and my husband and I share it, which I totally recommend. So I can take it on or off. My team doesn't see all of the like family stuff. They're just seeing, okay, everything that's business related, right? So everything is in green is like a shared kids calendar for us. And those are the things that I put in first are like what my kids have, their activities. If there's, in the middle of the day, if there's an activity, then all of that I know for me is in green. That's for my kids, right? Anything that is a shade of blue for me is the other personal stuff. And this is kind of the order that I put things in. So I put all my kids stuff in first, just because I'm like, I want to, above everything else, if they're going to have a meeting or a conference, or my kids aren't having a conference, but if they're going to have like an assembly at school, I want to be a part of that, right? So I put those things in as the very first thing. So I like get my kids' schedule from their school and I put all of that stuff in very first. The next thing that I do is I do all my personal stuff, right? So that is like when I'm working out, the gym I go to is called Honey's. That's what that is. Don't think that it's weird. I take off every Friday. I actually, as of now, I mostly just work Tuesday through Thursday because my kids are home on Mondays and I take off Fridays to do like personal errands or go get a massage or whatever. So I mainly am just working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from around 8:30 or 9 until 4:15. So that's what my schedule looks out. So I go ahead and put in like my workouts. I have to put in my shower time because if I don't do it, I'm sorry, I'm working from home and I will just sometimes not shower because it's not in my schedule. So that's what I put in. Then I go through and I put in the other big blocks. And for me, I like keeping my meetings to be on certain days. So for me, Tuesdays are meeting days. Like if I'm going to be meeting with potential clients or customers or my teammates, then Tuesdays are the days that I'm going to do it. That way I can know, hey, let me get showered for the day. Let me go through and make all of my meetings pretty much happen on that one day. And just so you know, I have a Calendly Calendly link. And, anytime that somebody wants to book a meeting with me, they go to that calendar and they see, hey, Abby is available on Tuesdays to meet. And then if they can't make that work, maybe they'll email me and I might make an exception. But for the most part, I try to keep all of my meetings just happening right there on Tuesdays. Then what's the next most important thing? For me, it is filming time. I mean, one of the things that I love doing is actually filming content, right? And so maybe that's not what you do. Maybe you have one day where it's meeting days and your other 2 or 3 days are all just filled with work, and that's great. So make those like your deep work days. For me, I just have one deep work day and that is on Thursday. So I try, if at all possible, not to do any other meetings on that day. Now, right now, my Thursday looks a little booked. I should go to the following week. Okay, this is what it's supposed to look like, is that I don't have anything on that Thursday. But you can see I have a YouTube shoot on Wednesday because that's the day that I do content, right? And so for me, I'm not working this Monday. So one of my family members is going to help watch the kids that day, even though they're home. And so I have some more meeting space. So you can see I put in like the big blocks. I put in the things that are the most important. And then I go through and I can make exceptions to the rule, if that makes sense. Okay. If you have questions about my calendar, put them in the comments below, because my goal is for you guys to see this and to hopefully not judge me because my life is crazy and I have weird things in here, but for you to see this and to say, oh my gosh, okay, I can see how, like right now, if somebody asks me, hey, can you do this thing on September 7th? I can literally look and say, hey, I have a YouTube shoot planned for that day. Let's do it on the 9th instead. Let's do coffee on the 9th. That's when I do personal days. Sorry, I got a text message. Okay. Fridays is the day that I do personal things, so that's a good day for me to go have lunch with someone, right? So how would something like this help you? How could this change the way that you do life if you have a system like this? Now, one of the things that really helps me is every single night in the evening, I actually go through and I just do the day view, okay? So I will go and I will look at the following day and I will say, okay, what does my day tomorrow look like? I'm gonna do an early morning workout, which means I have to get to bed early tonight, right? I'm gonna be helping get the kids ready and I'm actually driving the kids, which means I'm not actually gonna start my work day till about 8:30. I'll go through the day. Okay, tomorrow's my deep work day. Awesome. Let me go ahead and plan out what projects I have. And then I also, I have a spouse who works with me as well. So I don't only go over my calendar, but every single night he goes over his calendar as well. And we work together to say like, okay, I'm driving the kids tomorrow. You're going to pick them up. Here's what we're having for dinner. Like I can set out meat the night before out of the freezer so that I know what I'm making the next day. And doing this little like evening recap to go over my next day's task has been a huge just time saver for me and for my husband. Okay. I actually have it in my calendar every night, this nightly routine. And you can see this is what we do, right? So we make the kids lunches. I fill out my water for the next day and pre-workout or muscle recovery if I'm gonna be working out. I do my tomorrow schedule and to-do list, my husband's schedule and to-do list. I delegate for tomorrow. I plan out like my meals for the next day, right? Do I need to set out food? Am I going out? What is that gonna look like? I write down in my workout journal, like what my workout was for the day if I forgot to do that. I do my Bible reading. If we have extra time, I will like watch Netflix with my husband or Netflix and chill, and then get ready for bed. So it's actually a full hour and a half that I have set aside for that. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times some of these things just get like, they just don't happen. Or it's like, okay, yeah, let me like plan out for my food for tomorrow. Is just like, okay, we're getting pizza. Okay, cool. And that's it, right? So it doesn't always have to take an hour and a half. Sometimes this meeting literally takes like 15 minutes. But the important thing is that it's in the schedule every single night to go through our nightly routine and talk about what are we actually going to do the next day. So we go over our schedules together. So the big thing is that I'm ending every single day with a plan. I know how the next day is gonna go. And that just makes both me and my spouse feel so much better about our lives. Like our lives are so much less chaotic because of just this quick little nightly routine that we've built into our Google Calendar. Let me tell you this as well. The nights that we don't do this nightly routine, I can tell you like there is so much more stress in our marriage. There's less communication, which is gonna cause more stress. The days that we don't do this, it is like, we just feel like we're floundering and we don't eat as healthy, right? Because we we didn't plan dinner the night before and we're not making something homemade or whatever. And so it makes such a big difference to do this nightly routine. It's been a really big game changer for both me and my family. So I end my night really, really well. The next thing is that I start my days really well also. And so you'll see if I go back to my week view, you see that at least every day that I'm working, which this week is sometimes it's Monday through Thursday, sometimes it's Tuesday through Thursday. This week it's Monday through Thursday. So you can see every single day I have this tiny little slot called dailies. And so my dailies is my daily checklist to make sure that I'm starting the day well, to make sure I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Okay. And so for me to do my dailies, this is what my dailies mean. So I use my project management system. So I'm outside of Google Calendar now. This is a tool called ClickUp, but you can do the same thing. You could make a checklist in Google Calendar. You could do this in Trello. You could do this in Asana, whatever your project management system is. So this is a reoccurring task. So if you go up, you can see that it is like reoccurring every single weekday. I get this task. And so every single day, this is going to pop up as what I should do. And so if I haven't like done a little prayer journaling exercise, I make sure to do that. I check my Slack channels. So I have 2 Slack channels that I check. I check my calendar. Yep. If I haven't already, which I've already done the night before, but I go ahead and I look at it that day as well. So this is me checking my personal Google Calendar. And so it's a daily practice, at least through the work days, to check it both at night and in the morning. I know it sounds crazy, but like this is how I manage, 2 businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses, have kids and husbands and all the things. This is how it gets done. So I check my calendar every day. I go through and I check our content calendars as well. So I can look at this week, look at next week and see like, oh yeah, I do have that big webinar coming up. I have to make sure that I prep for it this week, right? So I need to put it on my task list as one of my most important things that I'm going to do. Alerts, this is just kind of a ClickUp thing is, you can get alerted if somebody tagged you. So I go ahead and do that. And then I make a plan for the day. I've looked at my calendar. I've looked at my schedule for the day. And for the most part, I say, what am I going to be able to get done? And you can see in my Google Calendar, a lot of times I will have like sprint 1, sprint 2. And for me, if there's no other meetings happening that day, I know for the most part, I'm going to be able to get 1 or 2 big projects done. I think a lot of times we stress about like, I'm not getting enough done. But a lot of times we're just expecting too much out of ourselves. I have learned that I can get 1, 2, sometimes if it's a deep work day, I can get 3 really big projects done. And that's it. Like I can't get the 20 things done in a day and neither can you, especially if they're things that require deep work. And so I think we just sometimes need to expect a little less out of ourselves and have some grace and know, man, let me just plan out what I actually can do today and be happy, be happy that I got that one big project done. Awesome. Okay. So the rest of this is just like some of these are personal things. We do personal budgeting on every dollar. So I go quickly and make sure that I logged my budget for that day. I'm currently kind of managing or looking over our Facebook ads. It's going to be handed off to another team member soon, but I check our Facebook ads really quick. I don't really make changes to them. Somebody else does that, but I just look at them. If I feel like posting an Insta story, I have that. If I feel like making a Facebook post, I do that. If I feel like checking Facebook messengers, text messages, I do that. I check my email every single day. And sometimes I don't work on my emails, but I can at least see what's in there if there's anything urgent that I need to know about. They messaged me saying, hey, I need to cancel this podcast episode. Okay, I can make sure to do anything urgent right then. But if not, then that moves into project work. So sometimes just clearing out my inbox will become a project, right? And so I plan out my projects for the day. And this daily schedule, it's like 30 minutes that it usually takes me and sometimes less, but it really, again, just like that nightly routine of setting up my Google Calendar, looking at everything for the day, just like it sets me up in the evenings, this sets me up every single morning. And, the big thing is the 80-20 principle, right? Like what is the small 20% thing that I could change that's going to affect the 80%? Like what is the smallest thing that I could do that's going to impact my life in a huge way if I do it consistently? And for me, it's a nightly routine. It's a daily checklist, and it is really timing out and planning my calendar well in Google Calendar. So if this isn't something that you've already started doing, I would highly recommend doing it. Let me know in the comments if you're going to. All in all, it probably would take about an hour to an hour and a half to set this up, right? To set up the reoccurring tasks, to set up your Google Calendar the way that you want it, to like check your kids' calendar and put all their stuff inside of it, whatever it may be. It might take you an hour, maybe even up to 2 hours of your time. But guys, once it's done, it can be absolutely life-changing. So I definitely recommend checking it out.
Okay, that's enough of that, computer.
If you want more tips on how to be productive, how to make more money as your own boss working from home, then you definitely need to make sure that you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to be notified every time I go live with a new video, and check out these other videos. That one, and that one. Maybe there's one over here, or over here. Check them out.